Hello and welcome to Just One More Watch. Welcome today to one of those oddities that I like to serve you up once every couple of months. It's a Xeric. Now this is the third Xeric that I have reviewed on the channel. I reviewed the insanely popular NASA endorsed TRAPPIST in 2019 and I reviewed the insane Halograph 2 last year 2020. Today it's the Soloscope 2, an updated version of their Soloscope model that they released a couple of years ago. Now this one is currently live on Kickstarter, 300 plus pledges already. I will obviously leave a link to that campaign in the description of the video. Not your typical Kickstarter fare though. Xeric are a well-established company, a multi-million-dollar company. Check out the number of pledges they receive for that TRAPPIST and the amount of income that they receive for that TRAPPIST as well. And I asked them, I said, why are you still launching on Kickstarter? It's normally up-and-coming companies that do that. And they just explained that the platform offered them better reach as a company. Very interesting. Some companies are desperate to get away from Kickstarter, whereas others continue to use it. Now you saw the pop-up, I'm sure. This video is sponsored by Xeric. The watch on my wrist is a prototype. It'll be going back to the company, but they'll be sending me one of these in the color of my choosing in August when these models are ready. In addition, I am a Xeric affiliate. What that means is if you want a regular model Xeric from the Xeric.com website, not this one unfortunately, use the code JOMWA20 for a 20% discount and a little bonus payment for me. Thank you very much. Now they describe this one in their campaign as a cuff buster. So for the first time ever, for the first time in 600 videos, I will be wearing a long sleeved shirt when I do some of the top down wrist shots. Let's flip the camera and have a look at it. Where on earth do I begin with a watch like this? Well, I'm going to begin with the box, which is undoubtedly the least interesting part of the whole experience. I'm going to include a lot of outdoor footage today, I'm going to include a lot of macro footage today, and I'm going to include a lot of time-lapse footage today, usually in combination, i.e. outdoor macro time-lapse footage. If you have even a vague inkling towards this watch, I would urge you to check out the Kickstarter campaign. There is a very professionally produced 2-minute video which explains the inspiration for the watch and has some stunning time-lapse footage. I'm going to try and do it justice, but I urge you to check out their video as well. Now this is not going to be everyone's cup of tea today. I'm not suggesting you rush out and buy one of these for your Uncle Frank, because your Uncle Frank won't have a bloody clue what's going on his wrist, but Xeric know exactly what they're trying to do as a brand. They're pitching to that kind of Richard Mille insane radical end of hot horology, the very top end, but they're bringing it to people's wrists for $400 US. That Halograph 2 that I just showed you, that was pitched as the most interesting watch in the room. This one they're talking about conversation starters, and that's what they're aiming for here. That's the type of market that this one is being directed to. It's people who aren't necessarily going to be wearing this one every day, but they know that when they do wear it, people will look at it will start conversations, and it's something completely different. The chances of spotting another one of these in the wild, pretty limited, let's be honest. And again, you can say what you like about these watches. They may not be to your taste, they may not be to my taste, but the quality is undeniable as well. Regardless of which particular bit of the watch I show you, regardless of where I look, it is very well done. And that was something that I found in the Halograph 2 as well. So, Uncle Frank, what on earth is going on here? Well, let's talk dimensions and specifications first, and then I will show you how to read this thing. Like all of these watches, it's still a three-hander at heart, so once you get used to it, it's pretty easy, but you do have to get used to it, so that is something you're going to have to bear in mind. 46 millimeters in diameter, 42 millimeters lug to lug effectively, 14 millimeters thick, 22 mil lugs, and on this supplied Horween leather strap. More about that strap later on. I love a nice bit of horse. This one weighs in at 132 grams. Stainless steel case. It is a kind of sandwich case, and there's a piece of color matched anodized aluminium in the middle, just like there was on the Halograph 2. Now that is 2 separate bits of sapphire crystal, push-pull crown here, and 50 meters of water resistance. There is a display case back with a customized rotor here. Now the movement is an 8217, it's a Miyota, Japanese made 8217. Miyota 8000 series, not my favorite movements in the world because they only wind in one direction. As you can see here, the rotor will spin and spin and spin. But that is a skeletonized custom rotor, and there is zero wobble because the rotor is symmetrical. There's very little difference in weight between the two halves. So that's an easy way to counteract the wobble of a Miyota, is to make the rotor, like this one, both skeletonized and symmetrical. The case finish is excellent, it really is. Super smooth, super fine brushing on the upper surface and the edges, and a nice high polished transition between the two. Xeric branded crown, and there's another view of that piece of anodized aluminium in brown. This is the brown on brown colorway here with stainless steel. There are plenty of other more radical versions. If you want a radical watch in a radical colorway, you will not be disappointed. Now, I showed you the screw on display case back before, but there is another view of it, and again the finish there is excellent, radially brushed to the stainless steel elements, integrates very nicely with the case overall. The usual spec sheet with the limited edition, the model name, the automatic and so on, and these are limited to 999 pieces per colorway, so 10 different colors, 999 units of each. They're all going to be numbered individually. Now, I mentioned the strap earlier on. Always delighted to see that Horween stamp on any leather watch strap that I get into the house. Quick release spring bars here, which is a bonus as well. They always smell fantastic, Horween straps, and they age really well. They age instantly, so as soon as you take the watch off the cushion and put it on your wrist, you bend the leather, it looks old, but it looks old in a good way. I always think it looks old like a favourite belt or a decent pair of shoes, and that is going to continue to age well with time also. Plus, nice stainless steel matching Xeric logoed buckle and tang. That's all well and good, Jody, but this thing's a watch. How on earth do you tell the time on it? Well, don't forget that at this watch's heart lies a standard Miyota movement. In this case, it's a 4-hand plus date, that being a 24-hour hand. So you just have to learn how to read it differently, but the theory is fundamentally the same. Now, this can be read only on one half of the watch. That's the whole point. There are clues to be had from the left half, but we'll come back to that later. Let's concentrate on the right hand of the watch for now. Now, this being one of the more modern 8000 series Miyotas, if I pull the crown out, the movement will hack. Second hand, if you have a look at that top little disc with 3 spokes there, one of which is orange with a segmented edge, that is the second hand. It lets you know the watch is running, but it doesn't really do much other than that, to be honest. Next up is the minute hand. Now, the minute hand, much like the halograph, has 2 of these halos, one running around an inner track between 0 and 30, and one running between an outer track between 30 and 60. Next up is the hour hand disc type thing. That is a fully skeletonized set of Arabics running from 1 to 12, set against a luminous backdrop. Yes, this watch has lume. Hang on for that in just a second or two. There is a date complication there punched into the dial, kind of where you would expect it to be at the 3 o'clock as it were, but it is a slightly convoluted process to get a read on this one. For example, the time now is pretty much bang on 10 o'clock, maybe about 1 minute to 10. Let's play a bit of a game, shall we? I'll adjust the time and then you tell me what the time is. Okay, what do you reckon? That one is fairly easy. The hour hand is somewhere between the 12 and the 1, so it's 12 o'clock. The minute hand is pointing the halo nicely circling to the 20. It is 20 past 12. What about this one? We're between the 7 and the 8, so we go for the 7, and we're looking at the outer halo here, 7:37. And a fairly simple one, we're pretty much reading across the dial here, 9:15. So let's have a look at the left hand side of the watch. This is a Miyota 8217 as discussed, that is a 12:24 hour indicator. Up the top there, AM, PM, it's got 2 hands on it. One is white, one is orange, indicating as to whether you should be in the AM or the PM. It gives you a clue as to where the hour is here, so it's also pointing somewhere between the 9 and the 10. Then if I roll this one forward, there we are, that's what 9:15 PM looks like because we're on the orange hand here on that side. Like I said, it does give you a clue, but it's not necessary to read the time. You can do all of that on the right hand side of the watch. All perfectly clear. Excellent. Let's talk lume because there is plenty of it. This watch looks just as mad after dark as it does during the day. Superluminova and a couple of different tones. One tiny little splash of colour there on the spoke of that second hand and also on the AM PM indicator. And surprisingly good amounts of lume as well. Here we are halfway through my 20-minute test period and, well, you can read it as easily after dark as you can read it during the day, if you see what I mean. And that is it on wrist. I've got a 7-inch wrist for your reference. Their campaign suggests that it is suitable for 6.5-inch wrists to 8.5-inch wrists, and I wouldn't necessarily disagree with that. I guess they're basing it on the number of holes in the leather strap and physically how much watch is going to fit on how big a wrist. And that's the overhead shot. I'm not going to insult your intelligence here by talking about legibility. Legibility, not really what this one is all about, is it? And there it is, first time ever, long sleeve shirt, the cuff buster, self-proclaimed. Yeah, you're going to have cuffs like a wizard's sleeve to get this one underneath. This is what they were talking about. You can poke it halfway under a cuff and still read the time from the right hand side, but there are clues to be had from the left. Yeah, not going to be slipping under a cuff near you anytime soon, this one, I don't think. And that's it outdoors. I probably shot about twice as much macro and B-roll as I normally would today because the watch looks great outside. And that's it on wrist. 42mm lug to lug is what they quote. Really, that's the end-to-end dimension of the watch. Those spring bars do sit rather inboard of that. But you know, this wears nothing like anything you've ever had on your wrist before. So in some ways, these dimensions are a little bit meaningless. Which brings me on to the moans and niggles section. The first thing I'm going to complain about, as I always do when I encounter it, is the 12-month warranty. I don't think that's great from micro brands, especially ones as big and established in this end of the market, this particular sector of the market as Xeric. I really think it should be 24 months. Admittedly, most of the problems you're going to encounter are going to be encountered in the first 12 months, but when you're paying $400 or more for a watch, I think it really should come with a 24-month warranty, which is why I'm complaining about it. And then, I mean, do I really need to talk about it? It is stating the obvious to say that this watch is not particularly practical. It is both top heavy and lopsided. You are not going to be wearing it below the knuckle because when you wear it below the knuckle, you're not going to be able to move your wrist. And then there's the reading of the thing. Even if you do learn how to read it in one particular way and you get used to that, you're never going to be reading it as quickly and as easily as you would a standard three-hander. But this watch is not about practicality, is it? Practicality does not start conversations. Practicality is not the most interesting watch in the room, and this Xeric most probably is. So if you are keen on one of these and you're okay with all of those negatives, you can rest assured that this watch is fabulously well constructed and very, very nicely designed. I can find little fault there. I can find little fault with the value equation on offer at $400 as well. Just be sure you know what you're getting and don't buy one for your Uncle Frank. So there you have it, the Xeric Soloscope 2. I'm guessing if you've made it to this end of the video, if you're keen enough to watch the outro, then perhaps you are keen on the watch. Maybe you're one of those 300 odd people who have already backed the campaign. What did you think? A truly outrageous timepiece, a truly outrageous piece of kit to have strapped to your wrist, but there is no denying it is fantastically well made. I think $400 for what they're offering is a great, great price. It's not going to be for everyone. I don't think Xeric wanted to be for everyone, but if you want a bit of that crazy $250,000 Richard Mille look and feel, but for a fraction of the price, then this could be the one for you. Thank you for watching. I will see you in a future video.